Terry's official. Hers beeped. Say 7?
Time now is 7 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Al Poole,
Here.
Marna Smith. Here. Mike Cunningham.
Here.
David Walker.
Here.
Soren Peterson.
Here.
Chuck Schultz.
Here.
And Marcy Husted here.
Do we have any changes to the agenda? If not, I'll call for motion.
So moved. Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It is approved. Next is approval of the consent agenda. The regular board meeting minutes from March 28th, 2017. Clerk's warrants and bills.
So moved. Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Next, communication. Item number 1, road survey results.
So moved. Support.
Been motioned and supported to receive and place on file communication. Item number 1, road survey results. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Next, public remarks. Anybody have any comments or? Moving on to unfinished business, we have none. Moving on to new business. Item number 1, request of Mitch Harris to appeal his fire service bill. He had been called out to a job site that he had where he was open burning and he did not have a permit. I assume that you're Mr. Harris?
I am Mr. Harris.
Okay, we have Mr. Harris here. Mr. Harris, would you please address, your point of view on this and let the board know,
Well, we were, I guess, ignorance on our part, we were unaware that we needed a burning permit. Building and burning are not required to have a burning permit. So we were unaware of the fact that if we would have known, we had, the burning permits are relatively expensive and definitely inexpensive in compared to the fine, the relation between the why, should I say. So anyway, we did have people on site. We did have an employee of mine here with me, Jack Irwin, who was on site doing the burning actually, and we did have some fire homes and whatnot. Let Jack explain. But anyway, so we're asking to appeal the heavy fine that was issued.
And the sergeant came out the second day. The first day, the captain came out, but we were already, the fire was totally out. It was all ashes. The second day, we're out there, we're burning. The sergeant came out and said that he didn't ask for burning permits, so we didn't know we had to get a burning permit or nothing. Looked around, seen that I had shovels, rakes, water hose, and the ground around us was saturated with water. So it wasn't a windy day, and he said that he didn't see no problem, because I told him if there was a problem, I'll put the fire out and, do those other steps that we had to. He said, burning, and you guys are fine. We just had the fire out like this, and I said, okay. So,
and that was the second day?
yes, sir.
Okay.
But there was only,
2 days.
there was,
and we received 2 fines, one for each day.
oh, so there were 2
We had
different
2
calls.
$1,400 fines.
All right, okay.
So a total of 28, going over $2,800. for
Right.
fines.
And each time, they didn't have to extinguish the fires, because the fire Friday was already out by the time they got there. And Saturday, the sergeant said that, again, he didn't have a problem with us burning, just have it out like that.
The
first day, it looks like there were 15-plus mile-an-hour winds, and it says that they used a complete tank of water?
No,
This is from the fire department.
Yeah, I read that too.
The fire was already out by the time they got there. The fire was, like I said, it was all in ashes Friday. So they didn't use
Can I-
Neighbors next door.
If you would, I'll read the narrative. So it says, dispatch to an open burning complaint at the above addressed. Arrived to find 2 4x8 piles of hot ash with blowing embers due to 15-mile-an-hour winds. We had to put the embers out due to the high winds, used a complete tank of water, cleared scene.
Tank or truck? I don't know what this is. Tank? Yeah, tank. So what date was that?
That was
on?
the first date.
That was the first date. That would be
127.
127. Would that be a Friday or Saturday? I
That
guess.
was Friday, 127 Friday.
Right.
I guess I didn't realize there was 2.
Can I interject with a question real quick?
Sure.
When was the building permit pulled? Are you building a house there? And what,
We were clearing the lot, we were clearing the brush and burning it.
okay, has anybody been in the township at that time at all for anything prior to this at all? Not even within the last year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so there's one thing that might have a problem. All over the front door and everything, we've got burn permit, burn permit, burn permit, for one. And the other thing is, the winds and everything else. I mean, I get it, a lot of places you build sometimes that there's probably not, I know Brighton Township doesn't have burn permit requirements or anything like that. But when there's several places as you walk into the building where it says, we need burn permits. So where is the ignorance here?
Well, we missed it, because like I said, I don't know how we missed it. Our fault for missing it. We would have known, we would have got a $5 building permit, but it just seemed like $1,400 is all it is.
Unfortunately, the township has to pay that regardless.
Yeah, we don't have our own.
We don't
fire
have a
truck.
choice.
Yeah, I think I've put that in the thing. Every time fire truck goes out, regardless of what they do, it's $1,400 that the township has to pay. In our cost recovery ordinance, we allow for cost recovery for fire and emergency services. And that's part of the open burn ordinance in our open burn ordinance, and that's available on the website. It also states that if you don't have a burn permit, you get caught burning without it, you can be responsible for the cost of the fire run and fines, which no fines have been levied, just the cost of the fire run at this point, so.
Do you build in this area, in this township, quite often, or is this the first time?
Well, just this.
Okay.
That's the Irish Hills.
Oh, okay.
It would seem to me that with the second run, that they should have posted something on the first run, say that this is a situation that can't be done legally, and that would remedy one. The other thing is that if he's issued a building permit, I would expect that at the same time, we would give him a piece of paper, something that says this is one of the requirements of the building permit.
I don't think it's a requirement
A
of
requirement
a
of building
building
permit.
permit, just
The fact that it says
if
right
you're
on the
gonna
front
burn.
door, so.
But if you issue a permit and it's got this attached to it,
You don't have to burn anything to have a building permit,
I know.
so it's not,
Not everyone's.
it's not relevant.
It would be if we require. I don't know how else to express it.
I do apologize, this is my first time at this township anyway, to come in this office, and if I would've known that we would've had to get a burning permit to burn, I would've got a burning permit. I do all these brush fires for them. Been no problems at all. Fire department, or have I caught anything on fire, and I don't burn nothing that's on high wind, so I don't understand what they're saying. It was a high wind, because if we would've had high winds, I wouldn't even let the fire go in the first place. I would've waited.
Why would you have a fire the second day, I guess is my question? If the fire department was out there the
There was-
first day,
I don't think there was anybody on site the first day.
The
there should have
neighbor,
been
Brian,
then, right?
There
I
should
mean,
have. Well, and another thing is part of our burn permit is we have burn rules. And some of those rules are the fire must be attended. There must be somebody on site to extinguish the fire. There's to be no fires past 8 miles an hour winds. A lot of provisions that bring, safety concerns. Burn piles are not supposed to be larger than 4x4. When you had a 4x8 pile, you're burning at 15 mile an hour winds. And, we try to avoid these things through the burn permit and the rules. Not that this is your situation, but we've had situation where people that don't get the burn permit, they light a fire, 20 mile an hour winds come, and the next thing you know, the neighbor's garage is on fire, and it's happened.
because the guy that's next door, he's head of the association at Irish Steels. And he even told the lieutenant captain that and his house is right next to a lot, that he wasn't afraid to use and everything. And he said, fire, he told the captain that he showed up that Friday, that he had under control and was going to be extinguished, and that the fire was in control. There wasn't a blazing fire, and that's why we had to burn 2 days, because I didn't want to push all the brush in one big pile. Then I got a big old mountain, so I just feed the fire. As the fire goes down, I just keep feeding the fire. And if it was, like once again, if it was.
so you weren't there the first day when the fire department responded?
No, because it was all just pure ashes when we left. I left at 5:30. The fire was totally out. And the guy next door, like I said, Brian, he said he definitely keep his eye on it. It did start back up, but I didn't see any knots or anything. It was just all pure white ash all the way around.
And it is kind of, we had a fire department there and a neighbor, and none of them said anything about getting a burn permit, which is kind of a misfortune. Because the one day it could have happened, and even if the neighbor had said, if he's head of the HOA, why didn't he say something about, hey, by the way, do you have your burn permit? So, or maybe he assumed you did because the department showed up and there was no big issue. I don't know.
The sergeant came out, he didn't ask for no burning permit or nothing. He didn't.
Okay.
Actually, I think there was.
I mean, there's a lot of back and forth. When you read all of this with the departments, the different ones, maybe it was dispatch, burning with permit within guidelines on one that you read. Then the other says does not have a permit. The communication is a little confusing when you read the two different dates, the two different reports. And this one, it does indicate a neighbor will be outside with the burn area and a garden hose. They will put it out by dusk tonight. Caller was happy with that. Unit's clear.
That was the second day.
That was the second day, yeah. So they did put that in the report about the neighbor keeping an eye on it, I guess. This one says the fire is not threatening anything at present.
So how did the fire department not know that
That there was a
there
permit.
was no
second.
permit? Did
Right here it
did
says-
the neighbor have a permit?
If you go to the remarks on the second one, it says arrived to find Mitch Harris Building Company burning with permit,
And within open.
with
burn
open burn.
Guidelines.
I think what they said is they have a building permit. So the fire department assumed that they had a permit, they assumed that they thought that they had a burn permit. And when we got the bill, we checked, and there was no burn permit. So the first day, there was nobody on site. The second day, there was somebody on site that said, we have a permit, probably assuming that we have a building permit, and that's what was interpreted by and that's an assumption, but that's, seems
Right.
pretty relevant to how things have rolled.
I mean, the bottom line is that the township has been billed for 2 fire runs to that address on the 2 different dates. So we've already incorporated the cost of providing service.
$2,800.
Right.
If we can get the
He's-
fire department to waive one of the bills or the township.
I mean, if that's a possibility,
If the town, yeah, if the
If-
fire department will pull it back.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
No.
it seems to me the obligation, if you're gonna issue a ticket, that you at least tell somebody that, why they're getting a ticket.
Let's see, again,
How will you go
with permit.
about,
We don't think,
if this is
Whoever
not an
was
agenda
dealing with
tonight,
this.
do we just delay it? We don't make a motion on
Well-
anything, or if he's willing to see if he can,
You could go there after they leave work every day
Table
and
the
give them another
item.
ticket.
To another day, or make a motion with a stipulation. Correct?
okay.
Could do that. That's an option as well.
so,
Or you
well,
the other thing you want to do with that is you want to put a timeline with it. So what you could do is you could,
Right.
so I'll go ahead, so I'll make the motion so that we can move along. I'll move that we postpone definitely, which would make this the first agenda item on the next regularly scheduled meeting. Postpone definitely to allow the requester the opportunity to appeal one of those fire runs with the fire department. So by postponing definitely under Robert's rules, then it becomes the first item of business for old business at the next regularly scheduled meeting. So that allows you guys time to go, wrestle with the fire department, and so it puts a timeline to it then, so. That's the motion.
Do you want it to just be one run, or is he gonna try to appeal both?
He's gonna do whatever he can do and then come back to us.
I think that's,
Okay.
hey,
That's
what
up
you guys-
between you and the fire.
Yeah.
Okay. I will support that motion.
Been motion and supported, to postpone definitely Mitch Harris's request to appeal his fire run service. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, we'll see you at our next meeting. Or-
Sure.
Good luck.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Sure.
The contract between the fire department is a contract,
Correct.
and so if the homeowner in the township calls, they call the fire department or they call the township?
No, they,
911
if
or
there's
the fire
a,
department.
if they're concerned about a fire, they're just gonna call 911 or the fire department.
Automatically goes out there?
Yeah.
as soon as the
It's
door
through a
opens and the
protocol.
truck leaves.
We have a
get
dispatch
billed.
protocol in place that they have to follow. So if someone says, hey, there's a fire, they go out to,
They got to roll the truck.
they gotta roll that truck.
And then
No.
they automatically bill the township?
They automatically build the township.
Now, in,
They,
Whether they provide a service at site or not, once that truck leaves the fire department, we get billed. It could be canceled en route and we still get billed.
personally, I probably wouldn't hold your breath on the first one, but the second one pleading that they didn't stop you, telling you you had a permit,
right.
That's a little questionable.
that's a little,
but-
well, that might be the one that might be questionable for them to even allow you to do, but the first one, I wouldn't hold your breath on them reversing the charge.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck. See you, Mitch.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item number 2, request of the Vericoast and lights
Fair
for
call. Oh,
Vericoast and lights for boundary realignment of 7303 and 7315 Parkwood Drive.
Yep, this one is a good one. It makes sense. It's just a realignment to bring both lots more into conformance with the zoning. So I would make a motion that we pass this boundary realignment.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the request of the Vericoast and lights boundary realignment for 7307 and 7315 Parkwood Drive. Any further discussion? Just so you know, all the terms and conditions have been met. This sat, I think there was something that needed to be done or whatever, but it's all complete and everything.
Yeah, it was pretty good shape when it came to
Okay.
us, just a couple little things to clean up.
Perfect. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the request is approved. Next is item number 3, request to renew the township's liability insurance.
Sure you don't want to hang around? Gets pretty exciting after you leave.
And I noticed Marcy did confirm that, because we added the cybersecurity, that was back in January of 2017, we added that, but they don't currently have it incorporated into the renewal policy yet.
Right.
So we'll just continue that January 17 to January 18 on that cybersecurity data breach. We'll just continue with
Yep.
that one as it is.
They're supposed to
But
let me
it's,
know.
they didn't have it available yet to incorporate with the current liability plan to renew it altogether. They're not ready to do that yet.
Do we know why?
The email just said that the participating plan policy is not included cyber liability at this point. As soon as it is added, we can cancel your current policy.
Well, okay, so let's say he doesn't want to cancel it. Can't he just cancel reissue so that it runs on the same timeline, so that for budgeting purposes, it becomes a fixed cost for us?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if that
So it's all
company- if that
renewing at
company
the same
doesn't
time.
offer it, just
Okay.
have him cancel reissue.
Cancel the current policy
on the
and
condition
reissue
that
to the
On the
new
condition
date.
that there are no penalties,
Right.
right? Have him cancel reissues so that at least for budgeting purposes and for our purposes, it's all running on the same.
Same calendar
timeline.
year, the same fiscal year.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
This is something that we do every year. I think there's only a couple $100 increase over last year. Should we go ahead and make a motion to include your request?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll make that motion. I move that we request the renewal of the township's liability insurance and further request that that the broker that's handling this please reset the cyber liability to run concurrently with our other business.
Support.
Got that, Terry? Been motioned and supported. I'm going to waive the reading, but Terry does have it, to renew the township's liability request with the cybersecurity. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries.
We should, well, it's okay. It's okay.
What's that?
Next year when you do this, don't call it liability. It's actually the commercial package, because it's also all the property and all the whole 9 yards for clarity purposes. And that
Oh, so
whole
like on the
package-
agenda,
Yeah, so it's not just liability
Building
insurance, you're also
insurance.
doing all the property, you're doing the whole.
Right.
okay,
kit and caboodle.
so complete coverage.
Yeah, well, I don't say
insurance
complete
or-
coverage, but
Yeah,
people get sued by saying things like that.
okay,
Well, people like me get sued for saying things like that.
okay.
Our comprehensive insurance
That's even
plan.
worse.
That's worse.
Even worse, just say commercial package. and I'm okay
Commercial
with that.
package, okay.
Actually glad we got a insurance man here. Next is item number 4, request to renew hall and cemetery lawn maintenance contract for 2 years.
I see the rates are the same
Yep.
as
Same rates.
2014.
Same guy.
Jeez. But he
And
only wants
once-
to renew for 2 instead of 3. Because last time it was a 3-year option to renew each year, but this one he's only extending it for 2.
Yeah, I think that's.
1 year and then like 1 year consecutive.
He had something, in 2014, it was, those prices were good for 3 years, but you had to renew it each year. But this one, he's only extending it for 2 additional. I know it. It's still a good price.
Yeah, it seems like a good price.
So moved.
Support.
Been motioned and supported to renew the hall and cemetery lawn maintenance contract for 2 years. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Those opposed? That motion carries.
I own a couple of those plots, so I want to keep them maintained until I
Next
until I
is
take
to-
occupancy.
Next is a request to adopt the Township Board Salary Committee bylaws. Or, I'm sorry, the public
Public
safety.
safety first.
So, we talked about reestablishing these committees, and one of the things that we discussed is that it would be pertinent to have some bylaws so they know exactly what their role is and what they are to do. So I prepared the bylaws for the Public Safety Committee. Pretty clear that they're just an advisory group only to make recommendations to the Township Board regarding police and fire contracts, making protocol recommendations for changes, proposing ballot languages for future ballots. They're to meet as needed. Talks about the membership. The terms are going to run concurrent with the Township Board. So if somebody wants to appoint new people every 4 years, they can, or keep the same people. And it's a volunteer basis. There's no compensation. I think it's pretty spelled out, unless anybody has any changes or...
Do we need to get our attorney to review them before we
They
approve
did get,
them?
we did get something from Chuck that indicated the language was
Oh, okay.
appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Chuck, right? Isn't that
It was actually, I think the question for that was,
There's on the that we weren't creating something where they're having authority or statutory with our terms in the bylaws.
Would
And
it
he
be-
said this was fine, that this was advisory only.
yeah,
I think there was, when you created the bylaws, the concern is you don't want them having authority, and the fact is the bylaws are indicating advisory
Yeah, and
only, and that's the
it's-
key component.
more than one time it says that it's advisory and recommendations only. We made it very, very clear.
But I think that's where you can get into trouble, that if you create bylaws and it's not made,
Yeah, this is a subcommittee,
yeah.
and the board has an absolute right to appoint subcommittees for basically any purpose it wants, to accept recommendations. You could put residents on the subcommittee if you wanted their input,
Right.
and then you can take their recommendation and do with it as you see fit. We've not reviewed the bylaws, but, again, we would if you asked us to, but if not, it's not necessary.
Well, we specifically asked that they be electors of the township in this, and, yeah, they are advisory only. They have no statutory authority, and that's even outlined in here.
Should their appointment, though, kind of overlap different terms?
Well,
Or
we
should
talked
it
about
not?
this, when I asked to do it, I said you want me to just make it concurrent with the board, so once ours expires, then theirs expires, and then we reappoint them after.
I just appointed, just to be that guy to talk about it.
Let's see, the term actually expires.
Well, there is one thing we might want to add, not to be that guy, but there is one thing we might want to add, is talks about your membership and members. Yeah, how do you become a member?
An application process, probably.
Well, you might want to at least just put in here that the board shall appoint.
We actually have a policy for committees,
Oh, except
for boards,
So we should maybe mention
need
there's a
to include-
policy?
that there is,
Yeah, if there's already there, then
there's
no,
already a policy in place for
redundant.
commissions and.
We just talk a lot about membership, but
Boards
just
that-
can figure out how you, based
Okay.
on what you look at here, doesn't tell you how you become
And
one.
you know what,
Right.
and maybe we need to
I'm okay with that, if there's something else.
amend
does-
that a little bit, because it says that we're gonna post that in the newspaper, and with, websites and everything there, maybe we should save the cost of the newspaper, because we could email blast it and put it on our website just as efficiently as, put it in the newspaper. But, we'll talk about that, something else to talk about, but.
But we don't want to incorporate, the committee will be made up of so-and-so under the policy, or state that there is a policy?
Well, okay, so what if we just said, under Article 4(1)D, the committee will be made up of 5 residents appointed by the Township Board?
And then that would fall under using that policy.
Yeah.
Committee will be made up of 1 ex officio township board member and 6 residents appointed.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
You're looking at salary.
No, thanks, I scrolled down too far, sorry. Hey, when we get to that one, though, remember that, will you? Okay.
By board appointment?
Yeah, there we go. So
By
under,
board appointment.
under 4D, 41D, same thing, except just add the,
6 instead of
as
5.
appointed by the board.
It's 6 of them instead of
I
5.
put by township board appointment.
There we go.
Township board appointment.
Okay.
With that revision, so moved. Doesn't need a resolution, does it?
Yeah, it does.
It is.
Does it? So resolved.
I'll
It is
support.
resolution.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's been resolved and supported to approve the amended bylaws for the Public Safety Committee. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Al Poole,
Yes.
Marna Smith,
Yes.
David Walker,
Yes.
Chuck Schultz,
Yes.
Soren Peterson,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham,
Yes.
and Marcy Husted, yes.
I better see as I drafted them. So, I'm assuming under Article 4D, appointed by Township Board.
Yep.
Okay.
And with that addition, so resolved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported, it's been resolved and supported to approve the bylaws for the Township Board Salary Committee. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, may I have roll call vote, please?
Soren Peterson,
Yes.
Chuck Schultz,
Yes.
David Walker,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham,
Yes.
Marna Smith,
Yes.
Al Poole,
Yes.
and Marcy Husted, yes.
So that resolution carries. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we suspend our regular Township Board meeting, and
It's a resolution.
it's a resolution, will be a roll call vote to go into closed session with confidential attorney-client communication.
Did you make that?
That's the motion.
Support?
It's been resolved and supported to suspend our meeting and go into closed session for confidential attorney-client communications. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Marna Smith,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham,
Yes.
Soren Peterson,
Yes.
Chuck Schultz,
Yes.
David Walker,
Yes.
Al Poole,
Yes.
and Marcy Husted, yes.
Okay, we'll meet in the back room there in 5 minutes if anybody needs to facilitate, or did you have any questions for us? Well, I don't know how long it's gonna be, so would rather do it right now.
Yeah, let's get
Sure.
him out the door.
Yeah.
Can't be anything
Hey,
real.
our news
big
media
and
has been
pressing.
respectful to us, we need to be respectful to them too. I do not wanna start that. Correct?
Oh, it's the restroom.